All right, welcome back to the channel. So, Errol Spence Jr. has put up a post on his social media page, I believe on Instagram and stuff like that. And he's at a local grocery store, and he has the list of Kell Brook, check, Sean Porter, check, Udonis Ugas, check, and the only one that's on that list that ain't check is Terence Crawford. Errol Spence let it be known that he wants Terence Crawford only, and he wants nobody else. I'm going to break it down for y'all. Let's talk about it in this video. King Jr. got another video for y'all. Please share that you like, subscribe to the channel, and also share the video to get all your latest boxing news. With that being said, Errol Spence Jr. has not been letting up ever since he won the WBA belt against Udonis Ugas successfully, stopping Udonis Ugas in the 10th round. And Errol Spence Jr. posted up, like I said before, at the grocery store. And the only one that's not marked on that list left is Terence Crawford. Now, Terence Crawford also posted on his social media a little bit of promo, him versus Spence. And Terence Crawford has some other pictures of him saying, "I'm going to beat his ass," and stuff like that. And like I said before, guys, this is the biggest fight in the sport of boxing. This is a 50-50 fight. I'm picking Errol Spence Jr. man down all day. You guys know I ride with Errol Spence Jr. I'm not saying that Terence Crawford doesn't have a shot. I'm not saying Terence Crawford can't win this fight. I feel like that Errol Spence Jr., a lot of people need to start respecting Errol Spence Jr. because Errol Spence Jr. since day one said that he always wanted to fight Terence Crawford. There was a while back ago that Errol Spence Jr. and Terence Crawford meeted up with his people, and you guys probably seen the interview with Bob Arum, and Bob Arum says that Terence Crawford told Errol Spence that you need to stay far away from Terence Crawford as you possibly can. So they wanted to kind of make it like Errol Spence was ducking and stuff like that. Well, Errol was never ducking in the beginning. There's multiple interviews on YouTube and Fight Hype that Errol Spence Jr. wanted Terence Crawford. Now, we know the situation with Terence Crawford. A lot of people feel like Terence Crawford doesn't want this fight. Well, if you guys go back to the track record of Terence Crawford is on multiple occasions that he was never interested in this fight. And the only thing that really surprised me with Terence Crawford is, you guys probably remember that I believe he was on like a fight, like the commentating a fight for DAZN, and he was on the DAZN platform, and he says, "I'm past that fight. I don't think that fight would never happen between me and Errol Spence Jr." And also, Terence Crawford was on a famous podcast that with the purse splits and stuff like that, that Errol Spence Jr. was really getting to Terence Crawford's head about the purse splits, and everybody was in an uproar where Errol Spence Jr. said, "Don't make me 70-30 or 80-20 his ass." And then people wanted to make like Errol Spence Jr. was ducking. And then Errol Spence Jr., the guys on this podcast asked about Terence Crawford, saying that, well, if Errol Spence Jr. gets you 50-50, will you take the fight? He says, "I don't know." So Terence Crawford make it seem like he doesn't want any smoke with Errol Spence Jr. Well, now Errol Spence Jr. let it be known he called your name, he called you out, he wants this fight to happen. And so Terence Crawford, as a man, has no choice but to take this fight. Because if he doesn't take this fight, him and his buds, well, like y'all want to say, his bud sexuals, I'm going to say, his bud sexuals are going to go nuts if Terence Crawford doesn't take this fight with Errol Spence Jr. Now, I personally think that this fight is going to happen. There is a lot of people believe, a lot of people that believe the fight between Errol Spence Jr. and Terence Crawford is not going to happen. The only way I can speculate and think about why this fight wouldn't come to fruition is a lot of rights. Just like something small, something stupid, that this fight would not come to fruition. And it could be similar to the situation where you have Jamal Charlo was going to fight Jaime Munguia, and they agreed to everything, and the only thing that they couldn't have was the network broadcasting rights. I think that's completely absurd. Jaime Munguia, dude is a hype train out of nowhere. He's never going to fight the best competition. I actually would pick Jaime Munguia in that fight. I thought Jamal Charlo could handle it, but I actually towards favor Jaime Munguia to beat Jamal Charlo, and I have my reasons on why I think Jaime Munguia could beat Jamal Charlo, and that's just a whole nother video. But with that being said, guys, we have to see this fight. Okay, I hope the business of boxing does not ruin this fight. Now, according to a few sources, from what I heard, that the WBA would be trying to push Errol Spence Jr. in a tournament. Well, that tournament that Eugenio Ugas had to compete to fight for the belt, they're going to try to push Stanionis on Errol Spence Jr. They better not do that. And Stanionis, I think, came out yesterday and says that he is willing to take step aside of money for the Errol Spence Jr. Crawford fight if that happens. So Stanionis, shout out to Stanionis. He's a generous dude, but don't be surprised if the WBA do some corrupt type of plan to not make this fight happen. That's another reason that this fight couldn't happen, because of mandatories. A lot of people feel like that the WBO could do some shady stuff and push a mandatory on Terence Crawford, whatever or not. Who knows? I hope. Well, we already know that money isn't going to be a problem to make this fight happen. Errol Spence said that he's certain. So now, I'm assuming they're going to drop contracts. Errol Spence Jr. probably is going to give the contract to Terence Crawford immediately. But I don't see Terence Crawford agreeing to all the terms Errol Spence Jr. has. Okay, we know that it's going to be at a neutral playing field. It's not going to be in Dallas, Texas, obviously, or Omaha, Nebraska. Okay, in my opinion, I think 60-40 is fair. Okay, there's a lot of people that still think that 60-40 isn't fair. Okay, first of all, it's completely fair because Errol Spence Jr. has three belts, and he's doing the bigger numbers. And I was looking at a channel this morning, and there was a guy that says that Errol Spence Jr. jab is not accurate, and Terence Crawford's jab is more accurate than Errol Spence Jr. Like, are you kidding me? Like, just because Errol Spence Jr. had a low percentage of jabs thrown in a fight, that means he has an awful jab? Like, I don't understand these dudes. These dudes, sometimes these dudes don't understand or know the sport of boxing. They just goes off of what somebody else said or whatever or not. That's what the case may be. But don't be surprised if the fight doesn't happen. I wouldn't be surprised, because there was a lot of people since the beginning says that this fight will never happen. You got guys like Sugar Ray Leonard and Tommy Hearns. Well, Sugar Ray Leonard says that this fight could be just like a throwback fight between when I fought me and Tommy Hearns. So everybody would love to see this fight. I think it's a throwback fight. But I have a funny feeling that something's not going to go right. You know, I think Errol Spence Jr. is going to do whatever it takes to get it done. You know, Errol Spence Jr. might have to pull a situation just like Devin Haney did, you know, to get this fight done. Devin Haney had to take the worst contract ever since the old days, back in the 1900s, of guys had to take a pretty bad contract, and Devin Haney had to do whatever it takes to get the fight with George Kambosos Jr. because George Kambosos Jr. was backtracking. So hopefully that isn't the case with Terence Crawford not wanting to backtrack out of this fight. I feel like that Terence Crawford, you know, he may be talking his trash right now, but Terence Crawford, are you going to agree to the terms of Errol Spence Jr. on the business side? Because you've been very suspect on that side. I think Terence Crawford wants to fight, but as a businessman, Terence Crawford, you're going to have to take whatever it is. If you want a rematch clause, if you beat Errol Spence Jr., cool. You don't have to rematch him. Or whoever's going to get the rematch clause, I don't know. But the situation is Errol Spence Jr. is coming for you, Terence Crawford. And you Crawford fans need to realize that this man, Errol Spence Jr., ain't ducking Terence Crawford. He wants Terence Crawford. He called out Terence Crawford. That's the only fight he wants. We had Oscar De La Hoya came out and says that imagine if Errol Spence Jr. and Virgil Ortiz fight at the Dallas Cowboys Stadium Arena. And Errol Spence Jr. said, imagine I say no. So that fight's not happening. So they're going to try to do whatever it takes to not make this Undisputed Showdown fight happen. Well, I hope the WBA does not do some damn stupid mandatory position where they got to push Stanionis on Errol Spence Jr. and Errol Spence Jr. has no choice but to fight Stanionis. And I think if Errol Spence Jr. has to fight Stanionis, he's probably going to move up, because that makes no damn sense, because you got one guy left in the division that has the last belt to the piece to the puzzle for Undisputed. So there's no hold-ups. There's no backtracking. The only thing I can see that's blocking this fight is the business side of boxing, and maybe Terence Crawford himself and his team, because his team sometimes is damn delusional. You got big dumpster Bomac from McIntyre from eat McDonald's cheeseburgers all damn day, and you got Bernie the cap-ass boxer, always get into his feelings about Terence Crawford. I understand that you ride with Terence Crawford, die with Terence Crawford, but you be getting too emotional about Terence Crawford at the end of the day. So I hope this fight happens. It's a 50-50 fight. I'm still riding with man down all day, Errol Spence Jr., and I will be going into more detail when this fight does get close to fruition. With that being said, guys, Errol Spence Jr. posted on his social media of him shopping for Terence Crawford belt, and he let it be known that he wants Terence Crawford and nobody else. With that being said, guys, it is what it is. Make sure you like, subscribe, and comment. This is your boy King Jr. I'm out of here. Peace.